a very good major league career, but he never did steal bases when he got to the major leagues. Never, which is weird. Not even in his rookie season did he steal many bases. But he's got tremendous power, and he is helpful if you use him in the right context. And I think that's what you need to know about Burleson. So if you're all in on Burleson thinking he's going to be number one, number two outfielder, I think you need to downshift on that. If he's out in your waiver wire because you're in a more of a shallow dynasty league, the fact that he's in AAA already with Jock Peterson type of upside, he's a guy that I would be adding. Number 96 is a guy that would not make the top 100 list if we would have had the draft already. And I've been low man on this guy from day one, and that is Nick Gonzalez. He's a Pittsburgh Pirate. He is in second base. I thought when he was drafted, he came out of New Mexico State, which is one of their ballparks and like one of the highest elevation in all of the country for any ballpark, professional or amateur. I mean, it's a mile high or whatever. So balls fly out of that ballpark, and in that abbreviated 2020 season, he showed a ton of power. I think it was the 2020 season. I could be off a year. And it's that last year in college before he got drafted, he was hitting balls out all over the place, and everybody thought he'd be this power guy. But he had a short to the ball. He's not a big guy. Never saw the power there, but I always thought he would hit. And he got to his professional career. The power continued, and I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. But this year, as he's moved on up, the power has gone away, or not gone away, has diminished to more of 10 to 12 home run pop, maybe 15 home run pop, but he's not hitting, which is very surprising. And the same thing with Keston Hiura. Go back to that name. When Keston Hiura was drafted, I thought he'd hit. He was a great hitter in college, and early in the minor leagues, he was showing a lot of contact ability. And then as he goes through the minor league system, he starts to yoke the ball, right? Starts to really start putting leverage to the swing and falls in love with the home run swing and starts to have some success, gets to the major league, has success at the major league level, and it just feeds on itself. And now we know Keston Hiura, right? The major league guys figured it out. They throw him up in the zone. He can't catch up to it. And he is a shell of the player that he was 2 years ago. And I think Nick Gonzalez is starting to be figured out. I believe he's got to go back to his old way of hitting. And the reason he still makes the top 100, I think, is a talented guy. But there's definite warning signs and signals all over the place with him. He was a guy that I didn't want to put in here, but I thought he's a famous guy. He's a guy that I definitely wanted to talk about. And I'm very leery at the moment of Nick Gonzalez. At number 95 is Ceddanne Rafaela. He's with Boston. He is an outfielder, and he's one of this year's big pop-up players. He's got speed, high contact skills, and it's a kid I'm really, really high on. And is he a legitimate top 100 prospect? No, but he's getting very darn close. And for me, I put him in here. Does he fall off when those July draftees get there? He could, but he's right there, and a guy who should be on in a lot of dynasty league. I'm very, very high on this guy. Jackson Jobe is at 94. He's got a long way to go, but he's starting to flash some premium stuff, and he's one of the few low A pitchers that is in this list. And again, number one pick by Detroit. Detroit's done a good job at developing pitchers. They've all gotten hurt at the major league level, but that's not their fault. Or maybe it is. I mean, I don't know how much you put on the team when guys get hurt. Is it improper training? I don't think that's ever really been figured out. But I think Jackson Jobe has a chance to be a very good pitcher. And the last guy I'm going to talk about before we take a break, and then we'll skip around a little bit more, is Carson Williams with Tampa Bay. He is a shortstop. He's a guy that's not been talked about a lot. He was first-round draft pick last season, and he's got really considerable tools here. And if he can only hit, and he's striking out too much, but I like the swing, and I think there could be something there. And he might be a guy that's floating around on your waiver wire. If he is, again, he's still very young, but there's an opportunity there. That is Carson Williams with the Tampa Bay Rays. Let me take a break and start to jump around a little more. interesting guys here in the mid 80s I want to point your attention to. It's Peyton Battenfield, one of my favorite pitchers because he pitches for who? The Cleveland Guardians, and the Cleveland Guardians have a huge track record of developing pitchers. So if and he was drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays. I think he was drafted by the Rays and went to the Guardians and not the other way around. So I always get that confused. But I write in my notes, and you'll see that first he's a pitch data guy. So translation, when you see that, you have to immediately think he doesn't throw hard. That's generally the case, and in Battenfield's standpoint, he doesn't. He doesn't have that crazy Garrett Cole 98 mile an hour fastball that he had come. Actually, it's probably more 97, 98 coming out of college, and obviously he's added arm strength and can hit 100 now. But he doesn't have that. But he's got excellent spin on his pitches, lots of natural movement, and I think he has a chance to be a mid-rotation starter. I do not put anything past guys that have average stuff that have a chance to be a mid-rotation starter. Now, Tristan McKenzie's like in and out a little bit. Sometimes he looks really good and sometimes he looks bad, particularly giving up way too many home runs. He's a guy that's probably should be sat until he can figure out the home run stuff. But that could be Battenfield, right? McKenzie doesn't throw all that hard, and that's why if he tries to pitch up in the zone a little bit, he can get hurt up there. So that's why you need the extra velocity, because it masks a lot of mistakes. If you throw 98 miles an hour, even if you groove it, if it's got a little bit of movement on it, you have a better chance of getting a swing and miss at 98 miles an hour than if you groove a 93 mile an hour fastball. It's that's the difference. So velocity covers up a lot of mistakes, and when you're a Battenfield, you got to be pinpoint perfect. That's why he's an interesting guy, and Cleveland makes the most out of those guys. But I don't see him as a kind of a top of the rotation, more of a mid-rotation guy. Number 85 is a guy that I'm really high on. Signed by the Yankees, traded to the Cubs for Anthony Rizzo, and that is Kevin Alcantara, Chicago Cubs. He's an outfielder, and to me, it's still all about projection plus power potential. I think he's got a feel to hit. But look, if you're high on Kevin Alcantara, clearly I am. Just remember, he is 6'6". He's going to have holes in his swing, but I think the upside is a 30 home run bat, and I think some speed early in his career. This guy, I wasn't really happy on where I slotted him. I think he probably should have been a little lower, and that's number 83, and that is Jordan Groshans. He's had in his minor league career an amazing 2 months. That was in 2019, where he looked like a stud. He was showing power, great contact. Then he got hurt, didn't play the second half of 2019. Then he had 2020, the mess that 2020 season, a minor league season was, and then 2021 he was This year he's showing the ability to hit, make good contact, which I like, but he's showing absolutely no power, so the power has yet to develop. And I haven't seen him yet, so I think the AA Toronto team comes in towards the end of the season, so I hope to get a chance to see him, be able to report on it better than just looking at the stat line and seeing. I think it's a sub 400 slug that Groshans is doing, and that's disconcerting. And we're going to look at another guy that is almost in that same vein that Groshans is in. And again, a lot of people love Groshans. Currently, it's shortstop, probably going to move to third base. But yeah, he's actually in AAA, so I'm not going to see him. I'm sorry, that was my fault. I thought he was in AA. But yeah, he's slugging .319. I mean, that's not good. So he's really in here because of legacy and what he was able to do prior to that. I mean, last year in New Hampshire, in only 75 games, again hurt some. It was a 291, 367, 450. This year it's 265, 371. So again, he's getting his walks, a 319 slug. So you can really make the argument he should have been in this top 100. So when you do a top 100 list, you have regrets. This is one guy I have regrets on why he is still in there. Let me move up to the mid 70s. And I'm really happy with these three guys. Number 78 is Gordon Graceffo. He's one of this year's pop-up pitchers in St. Louis. Solid stuff, but everything plays up because of his elite control. And he has walked 6 batters in 74 and 2/3 innings. That is Gordon Graceffo. I think he's a solid number 3 starter with some upside. Again, we're talking elite control. Good stuff, not great stuff, but again, the stuff's going to play up because of the control. Number 77 is Vaughn Grissom with the Atlanta Braves. Guy can really hit. I think there's enough speed and power to project a full-time regular with 15-15 upside and, wait for it, probably at second base. So I think Vaughn Grissom is a guy that should be owned in most Dynasty League, and a kid that's, I think, new to most lists. He'll be new to my list. I'm very, very happy. That I included him. Number 76 is Christian Hernandez with the Chicago Cubs. Toolsy 18-year-old that could develop into a stud. Now, I want to say should. I almost said should. Could develop into a stud. There's everything there to like. He's very young, just getting started this year. Don't look at the stat lines. Look at the talent. Let's move up to the mid-50s. Just one guy here, and that is similar to Jordan Groshans, and that is Austin Martin. Minnesota Twins shortstop, originally drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays. They traded him, I think, in the Berrios trade, if I recall. He was a guy that I traded for in one Dynasty League. I was really happy. As most of you know, I had Austin Martin ahead of, was it Torkelson? I had Austin Martin ahead of Torkelson in that year's draft. And I mean, I looked like a complete buffoon and probably still look like a buffoon when I tell you what Austin Martin's been doing. But Torkelson's had such a terrible year. So far, I guess I'm winning because of just lack of not recommending Torkelson. But I think Torkelson's going to be the better player. I might have I'm pretty sure it was Torkelson. Anyway, here's the problem. We saw this last year. Saw Martin play last year. He's showing great approach at the plate. He's got great speed and absolutely no power. I mean, let me bring up a stat line. When I say no power, I mean it's Jordan Groshans no power, and I'm really worried. I mean, it's like you can't be a guy, a full-time major leaguer, and have 3 home runs. This is not going to work. And I just refuse to believe that there's no power in there. Just like Groshans, he is hitting .249, but he's got a .378 on-base percentage. It's 39 strikeouts and 33 walks and 233 played at bats. So, I mean, he's showing a great hit tool. It's just probably a low batting average of balls in play, which is probably meaning he's rolling over on everything. He's slugging .313 with 1 home run. That's not going to get it done. And you go, well, what did you do last year, Wilson? Well, in the same level at AA, he had 3 home runs with a .381 slug. So his slug has gotten even worse. So I'm not sure what you do here, what the Twins are going to do, but maybe is he just kind of an empty bat, a guy that's going to make enough contact and definitely get on base enough to kind of be a light hitting second baseman? Is that going to work? Did that work for Nick Madrigal? I think he's got more power than Madrigal, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, is 58 too high? Could be. I'm betting that the Twins are going to unlock some power in there. He's not a small guy. I mean, he's got strength. He's got plenty of bat speed. He's just rolling over on everything, beating everything into the ground, and it's not good. Here's the polar opposite at number 52, and that's Elly De La Cruz with the Cincinnati Reds. He is a shortstop. He's got crazy tools that can make an impact, and he could be Byron Buxton type of crazy tools. I mean, it's that. But he's striking out, I think, 32% of the time. So, I write in my notes, my little write-up, it's going to come down to how much he hits. Based on his rankings, I'm leaning towards impact. So I think he's going to hit enough. And again, it could come with a 28% strikeout rate.